I recently made a TikTok of a tote bag I made for a friend. She had found this video, and I'll tag that person's name in the description. But she found this video and wanted me to make it for her, so I did make it. I absolutely love the bag, and I want to make one for myself, but there's some things I want to change. For example, the bag, it's quite large, and I don't normally wear bags that big. So I want to reduce how big it is. I want to make it a lot smaller. And there are some things I want to change. Like I did for my friend's bag, I want to add a pocket. I want to add magnetic snaps so the bag will close. But there are some things I'm changing for mine that I did not do for my friends. For an example, I like to hook my keys to the outside of my bag so I can easily grab it. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this yet. I'm thinking of adding grommets to the outside of the bag, like on the straps, so I can easily hook it. I think that's my plan. What you're going to need for this bag is fabric, so an outer fabric and a lining. You're going to need some magnetic snaps. And if you decide to do the keychain like I'm going to do, you're going to need like a D-ring or a circle ring to hook your keys into, and some grommets. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with the pattern and reducing the size, and then we're going to move on to making the bag. Voiceover Ari here. Here is the measurements I used for my bag. And I just want to show you a comparison. So this is the original size of the bag I got from the TikTok video, and you can see it in comparison to mine. And then here are the pieces I cut out of the fabric. So to stabilize the bag, you can just leave it as is, but you can also use an interfacing. I ended up using something else, but I did use interfacing on the keychain strap. I decided to go with a polyfill in the low loft version. It's like a batting, it's just batting, so that I can get like a quilted look on my bag. So I'm cutting it out here. So for the outer fabric, I cut out 2 layers of the batting because I really wanted it to have that stitch. I wanted the stitches to show. And then for the extension strap pieces, I'm just going to cut it out of 1 layer. And this is going to be that keychain strap. I'm just using some interfacing just to give it a little bit more stabilization. So first thing I'm going to do is sew the pockets. I'm going to sew them right sides together, or the pocket, just one pocket. I'm going to sew it right sides together. I'm going to leave an opening so I can flip the pocket right side out. And then I'm just cutting away the extra fabric. I'm just using these types of scissors. You can use regular scissors, but I had them on hand and thought it might help with fraying if I ever decide to wash this bag. So yeah, you just flip it right side out, and I'm just going to use this wooden stick that came with my polyfill. Actually, no, it didn't. It didn't come with my polyfill. I think I had this already, but I'm going to use it to poke the corners out. So I'm just going to iron it flat, and then I'm going to top stitch all the way around, and then I will also seal that hole from us flipping it right side out. Okay, so now it's sewn, the top stitch, and now I need to place the pocket. So I'm just going to place it on top and like slide the paper. You can use measurements and marking tools, but I didn't do that. It's like magic. Then I'm going to pin it. So you can leave the pocket whole, but I wanted it to divide it so I can create 2 small pockets. So I'll also be sewing a straight stitch right down the middle as well. Okay, now it's time to add the magnetic snaps. So I'm going to place them on top of each other so I can transfer the markings from one fabric to the other one. And I'm going to use the little hole, or the little, I don't know what this is called, thing on the back. It has holes in it to make my markings. I'm just going to press really firmly so it can transfer. and be in the exact same spot. And to stabilize the snaps, I'm going to use some more interfacing just to give it some more stabilization. I'm going to iron it according to my instructions for my interfacing. I think I just use like the high setting on steam for my iron. And since I need to iron my keychain strap, I'm also going to do the same. So now I'm just going to use an X-Acto knife to cut slits so that my magnetic clasp can feed through or go through. Then I'm going to add that back piece. This is just the button I have. It has a back attachment piece. And I'm going to fold over the prongs. For my outer fabric, I'm just going to do a simple horizontal line quilting thing, or you can do vertical, but since this is my first time, I decided to keep it simple, and I'm going to go up 1 inch. For the extension strap, I will also do 1 inch between each line. And I'm using this seam guide. It was a little small for my sewing machine, so I'm using these things to hold it in place. Anyways, so my seam guide is at the very base of the bag, so my first stitch is 1 inch from the bottom. And then I'm going to just use this seam guide on each line to make each stitching 1 inch apart. I'm just going to go all the way up the bag until I reach the top part where the straps begin. And here it is. It wasn't too hard to do. I definitely think I could have made markings to make it a lot easier. But eventually, with all those lines, it started looking a little crooked, but it was fine. I felt like it's not really noticeable. But I would say for my first try, I didn't do too bad. It was really cute. But I did it to both pieces, and I'm just cutting all that extra batting off. So now it's finally time to assemble the bag. So for the lining and the outer fabric, I'm going to clip the bottom and the sides. We're going to leave the corners alone for now. And now that those sides and bottom are sewn, we're going to put the corner pieces together. This is going to create that like squared bottom, so it looks a little bit wider in profile and not so flat. I'm going to do this for the outer fabric and the lining fabric. I'm just going to cut the excess off on the outer fabric. Okay, so this is where things will get a little confusing. So right here, I'm adding the extension strap to the bag. And you can definitely do this if you don't want to do the keychain strap, but I shouldn't have sewn this, and I just wanted to show my mistake. So things are going to get a little bit confusing from here, but I'm going to try to make it easier to understand. So right here, I am taking the extension strap off because I shouldn't have added. And you can also see that the lining is in my bag. So for right now, we're going to pretend that the lining is not in the bag and that we did not sew the extension strap. So this is the keychain strap, and I'm going to fold it and cut it in half. This is the part we needed to do before we sewed the extension strap on. So I'm gonna finger press it down, and I'm just gonna fold them inside each other. It's about 1/2 inch in, and I'm gonna iron it on both. Then I'm going to feed the D-ring through, and I'm going to top stitch from the bottom to the ring just to keep it in place so it's not sliding around. So we are once again pretending the lining is not in this bag. So we're going to sandwich the keychain strap between the bag and the extension strap, and we're going to sew that together. This is going to keep that keychain strap in place. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a jump scare. I lost the footage of me inserting my lining. So this is the exact same thing I did, but this was for my friend's bag that I did on TikTok. So you're going to turn the lining right side out and the outer fabric of the bag inside out, and you're going to just place the lining inside the bag. And then we're just going to clip it together so that we can stitch it. You're going to do this for both sides. Here is where I leave a hole. That's where I'm going to leave the opening so that I can flip the bag right side out. And now we're back to the regular bag. So as you can see here, now that the lining is sewn, you also see too that I did not sew all the way up the strap, and you'll see why when I flip it right side out. So now we're going to flip it right side out. If you leave a big enough hole, it should be super simple. I try not to leave it too big, but I was able to get it right side out. Also, I didn't clip my curves before I turned this right side out, so you definitely want to do that first. Eventually I'm going to realize this. I'm going to have to turn it back inside out and clip my curves. But definitely clip your curves before you turn it around. So you can see right there on the strap, I didn't sew all the way up. And that's because when we seal the bag, we're going to seal it so the seams are hidden inside. But we'll see that soon. So yeah, here I am clipping those curves because I forgot. And we're going to sew that right sides together. And you don't need to leave this much of a gap like I did. It's just because I had messed up and sewed everything incorrectly and out of order. That's why my sewing stitch is so far down. But you can definitely sew your straps a lot higher than what I did. Yeah, we're going to sew those together. And now that we've sewn the two straps together, we can start closing up that hole we made and closing up the straps. So I'm going to fold the lining and the outer fabric about a 1/2 inch in and clip it. You'll also want to pin or clip the hole that we made to turn the bag right side out. I will say too, I put my button my magnetic snap, I put it a little high. So I ended up having to use like a zipper foot to stitch the hole closed by the buttons. So if you put your button a little further down, you might not need to do that. Or you can hand stitch the hole closed too. But yeah, you can see here my buttons are quite high up. This is my first time making a pattern for a bag. So yeah, definitely some things I want to fix. So the bag is sewn. Now we're gonna do the bow. We're just gonna turn the bow pieces right sides together and sew a straight stitch. And then I'm going to iron that seam open. Now you don't necessarily need to do this next step. I ironed the fabric wrong sides or right sides together just so that when I go to sew this close, it'll stay and it'll be a lot easier. But you definitely don't have to do this. So what we need to do now is create that 45-degree angle that is going to be at the end of our bow. So like most bows have that diagonal cut. That's what we're going to create here. My ruler happens to have a 45-degree angle on it. And now I'm just going to clip it. And you see me right here using pins in this middle section because I'm going to leave a hole there so I can flip this right side out. So I'm just using pins to remind myself where not to sew. After you clip this, you're going to sew that diagonal line all the way, keep the hole and the other diagonal line. And I'm going to cut away all that excess fabric. And I'm going to use this tool that I have. It's a tool that doctors use. I forget what it's called right now, all of a sudden. But I'm just going to use it to flip my bow piece right side out. So I'm like opening it in like a tongs basically and clipping it to hold it in place while I pull this out. You don't have to use this, of course, but it's just what I have and it's easy to use. And once I do that, I'm going to use the same tool and just poke that corner, those diagonal 45-degree angles we made, just to make it sharper. And then iron it. And after I iron it, I'm going to top stitch all the way around this bow, also sealing that hole we made. So here as it is, sewn, top stitched, and I actually ended up sewing it to the bag, which wasn't my original plan. So I just did a straight stitch down the middle of the bow and the bag to keep it in place. That way I can just easily tie the bow or untie the bow. Like if I want it bigger, smaller, whatever. I liked that idea. And that is the completed bag. It's so cute. I like how small it is, perfect size for myself. And here I am styling it. I feel like it's gonna be the perfect summer and spring bag. And I just wanted to show off the fact that I can attach my keys to it. And that's my completed bag. I really hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed making this bag and I can't wait for you guys to see my next project. It's going to be a pair of jeans. See you in the next one.